So welcome everyone. This is our Landa session with Teresa, and we invited her since she said like she was having a conversation with the Landa team, and after 20 years leading corporate affairs, ESG, and she launched her firm TGM Global Advisory. So she has a lot to share with you, not just the part on how to become independent, but how to deal with this decision, taking this leap. And also Teresa is a Landa member. So welcome, Teresa. Super excited to hear.
Thank you very much, Beatriz, and thank you for arranging this space. I honestly am thrilled to share a little bit of what has been going on for the past couple of months. As Beatriz said, it all started with a conversation with Pedro from Landa, and I was telling him, like, it is amazing how Landa can give you a structure on how to do the pricing, how to frame your value proposition, how to think about what's your business going to be about and your client funnel and so on. But nobody really talks about what is going on a daily basis when you're alone and you are getting used to a new routine. So this is not a how-to talk. It is just a open, honest conversation about what has been going through my mind, hoping that this can help you in a way with, first of all, to have empathy about that this journey is happening to all of us, and perhaps we've been experiencing the same feelings. And also, what are the hacks or the things I've learned through the past couple of months that have helped me go through it. So if that is of service, I'm so happy for that. And please, if you wanna like raise a hand and make a comment, please do so. Don't wait for this to end. I don't want it to be a monologue. So I'm just gonna start and jump into some context. As Beatriz told you, I was in the corporate world for about 23 years. And just this March 2026, I was out of a corporation that was my former employer, FEMSA, and I started my journey. I have been thinking about it since last year, and to give you with some, to provide you with some context about when was the moment when I decided that I needed to do something else. It was last year. It was a very, very busy year with a lot of traveling, with a lot of meetings going on globally, going back and forth. And in the summer, COVID hit me and I had to stay at home for a couple of days. It wasn't that bad, but that space gave me a feeling about how did I had to reframe my life. And in one morning, I just woke up and I said, like, something has to change. I am very energetic. I'm curious. I love what I do, but something was off, and I didn't know exactly how to describe the feeling. But that happened last year, and I woke up and I told my husband, you know, something, I need to make a change. There are things that I need to put in place, and I need to make a change, and I wanna take a big decision, no? And it is about leaving the corporate world. I don't know yet what I'm gonna do exactly, but I'm gonna start working towards that path. And that was the moment. So I started communicating that decision within the company, and luckily I had a great employer, and he gave me time to try to work towards the goal. And then we agreed on a date that I had to step out, and today my former employer is my first customer, is my first client. So I was very lucky, very blessed to have the opportunity to keep on doing independent consulting for the US operations. I am based in Austin, and I think from that side, that gave me a certain stability to pursue my objectives. But it is also a challenge, a continuous challenge, not only like to work on a project every day, but there's things that nobody warned you about, right? And I think it's about the getting out of the structured environments that we are used to, right? And when you are in a corporate environment with a team, with a title, with a budget, with a building to go to, with an office, and a lot of like perks that you take for granted. But at the end, that is over, right? And there's this identity shift where you are no longer the title, right? It is just you are your brand, and at the end you need to start working, accepting that fact that you don't have the brand behind you, but you need to name it, and you need to be okay with it, to say, okay, I am no longer my title, but I'm still Teresa de la Garza, no? And what do I stand for, and what is this new brand identity that I'm building, that I'm gonna offer to my clients, no? So I think the importance here or the takeaway in this moment I'm sharing is the importance of naming the emotion. Like, you feel a loss, right? And sometimes you don't know how to translate that into what is going on, but you're in a Tuesday morning and you're standing before the laptop and saying, what am I doing? What am I doing today? You know? But I think the importance of naming the change is super helpful in this transition or this process of transformation. Also, there's a moment where I started like filling my brain with excuses, no? Like, okay, I'm in the recovery phase. I'm gonna start working on the brochure. I'm gonna start working on some of my value proposition products that I need to share with the new potential customers that I'm gonna have. But you're there and you're struggling with, I'm still recovering. I'm gonna give myself time, no? And that could be a trap. For me, it was I always said I had the excuse list, no? Like, I need time to recover. I need to give myself some time with my children. And at the end, if you don't control that part, it could be never ending, you know? And if you go independent, there's no boss, there's no team, there's no external structure that is going to push you forward, and your brain can fill with perfectly reasonable reasons not to start. So you need to like listen to that inner voice, and even though you listen to it, just say, okay, there's only me, and I am the only person that is going to make a change here, okay? And obviously, this quiet grief that arrives, longing for, you know, the corporate routines, the rhythm, your colleagues. At the end, I spent 10 years in the past job, and you form a lot of relationships in a day-to-day basis, and this sense of belonging to something larger than yourself is not there anymore. So I think that the best way to deal with it is just to acknowledge it, to say, okay, this is my grieving phase, and I need to accept it, right? There's a loss, but there is a loss because I am in a process of transformation. And for me, for example, it was a very specific moment when it hit me. I saw in LinkedIn the annual strategic meeting that happens all the time in Cancun, and all the executives are there, and these feelings of missing out showed up, right? And I was like, oh yeah, well, this is a decision I make consciously, and I'm not part of this anymore. But I think it's just a process where you need to own it, right? And to say it is going to be okay, because the fundamentals of the decision are there, and you made this decision for a reason, no? Also, there's obviously, when you go independent, a vulnerability or a discomfort of being out there, being visible again, either in social media, on LinkedIn, speaking, being invited as a speaker on a conference, perhaps because you don't feel ready. But sometimes, in my case, I showed up even if I wasn't feeling like 100% ready, and it is because the fear of being wrong publicly, that with no institution that it's there to soften the fall, could be something that prevents you from evolving. And I would just say that learning to tolerate being seen as in progress is a superpower. So if you are there, you're there for a reason. There's a lot of experience backing you up. You've been hustling for the past 20 years or any amount of years, and you have something to offer to the market, to your customers, to the world. So in that case, for me, that agreeing with the discomfort of engaging with a new network. In my case, for the past five years, I was going back and forth to Latin America a lot, and I didn't take care of my network in Austin, where I live. And I started intentionally reaching out to networking groups of like executive women, and it was obviously scary at the beginning, but I started noticing that when you are there, you're forcing yourself to be out there and try to verbalize what is your value proposition, what do you do, gives you a whole lot of understanding of what are the amount of industries that are out there that you maybe didn't know they existed, and that also are places of opportunity to tackle. And if you are there and you start like making these conscious conversations about what you're doing, what you think you can offer, you start realizing that sometimes it's not that clear for many people, and you come back with a lot of learning, and you start refining what is your speech, what is your elevator pitch. You start introducing new elements on what you do. In my case, I am in the risk prevention, external risk prevention realm, and for many companies that are startups or that are in their initial phases, it's not that obvious, no? And sometimes you need to learn how to perfection your narrative and be super specific, how do you can simplify what your products or offerings are, so you can talk and you can make sense to your new potential niche. And that's what I learned in these exercises of being vulnerable and being out there. And of course, give yourself the chance to go to certain environments which wouldn't seem so natural to you. And what I mean by that is, for example, in my case, being a new public affairs consultant in Texas, in the US, is something completely new for me in a way, but at the same time, I have a lot of experience of doing that globally. However, there's people here that have their own experiences, their own track records, and that have been there for the past 20 years as well, building their businesses. And I am gonna have to be very humble and understanding that I need to earn a place in that market. And in my case, a conversation with a very experienced lobbyist here in Texas was one of those moments where I started understanding that through trust, I was going to have to earn that space, and it will take some time. But well, this is some of the discomforts and the context of my journey, but I would like to go from here to some of my learnings in the practices and routines that have helped me in this past couple of months to structure these daily practices and habits that can get you to your goal. Obviously, it's about learning how to live with ambiguity, with uncertainty, with risk, but that is the new normal. We chose a path of independent consulting for several reasons. I'm sure everyone has a very good reason for being in to put yourself in this situation. But while this is the new normal, the ambiguity and the uncertainty, it gives you a lot of openness to new opportunities. And I think we need to see it from that point of view. So let me jump into daily practices. I don't know if somebody has a comment or somebody wants to share something as of now, or I just keep on going about the learnings. So yes, Gabriela.
Hi, Teresa. Thanks very much for sharing. When you were saying that you had to refine your elevator pitch, etc., it resonates with me. And like how long did it take you to say this is what it is? People understand it. I feel comfortable with it, because the more I say it, the more I know I need to fine tune it. So I'm curious, what was your experience?
Yes, in my case, it is also a sort of a market testing. I am trying to see what the market needs while I refine my speech in my value proposition. So I think I'm not done yet. And for sure, as you say, it's something that needs to stop at a moment, right? But I think that the perfect cue is when you start appealing to a new customer. Like when you start to convince somebody about the value you have to offer, it's where you stop, because now you have a product, a refined product that can that has a perceived value out there, and that you are resonating with the other side of the table. And it could be 3 months, it could be 6 months, depending on the the level of sophistication of your services and the type of market you're in and so on. But in my experience, I am willing to give it the time, like 3 to 6 months at least.
Okay, thank you.
No, you're very welcome. So I'll keep on going about the daily practices. In my case, since independent work, I'm a very structured person, and independent work doesn't have guardrails, right? And it is, if you don't have an intentional daily structure, there could be anxiety all over that fills the space, right? And this is about having a concrete habit and mindset to build your weekly routines that protect you from that. And I think it all starts with the energy awareness. And what I mean by energy awareness is, when are you the sharpest? Like, if you have a window of productivity and you recognize that, for example, in my case, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. is where am I super productive, super focused, hyper focused, and where I have the chance to tackle all the activities that I planned for the day. And in my case, I have kids, and I say from 10 to 2 because I try to figure out all my family routines before that, and the movement, and to do some exercise and so on, so I can really focus and have more flexibility for working in the afternoons or going to networking events and other things that are not about being in front of the laptop, right? And so that, for me, that the energy management and energy awareness is very, very important, that you are aware where are you the most productive. And also, how do you learn to recognize what the hard days look like? And the hard days is, don't work against your energy level, work with it. And sometimes I could wake up and feel like this is not a great day to pursue like 3 call outreaches to clients, right? It's something where I need to identify that it is to do, for example, one meaningful step, right? Like, for example, I'm going to refine my bio in my website. I'm going to reach out to this one person that I've been meaning to talk. And I'm going to try to do incremental progress in specific stages of my work plan development. Even one example is, when I was trying to figure out my brochure, and I was like, oh, what should I say in there? I don't know what to say, blah, blah, blah. I even started chatting with Claude, and I was like, I'm stuck. I started saying, I'm stuck. I need to figure out how to do a good presentation product for my firm. And I want you to give me some options and be proactive about it, and so on. So even your worst writer's block could be untangled through tiny things like having a conversation with AI, no? And about the morning anchors, I would say, find what is your non-negotiable morning ritual that sets the mood for the day. And if you need to read, or if you need to exercise, or if you need to have a time with your family, do it, and put that activity as the center of your anchor, so you can have structure. And it could seem trivial and it could seem obvious, but when you are stepping out of a structured environment, it's super, super important. In terms of movement, what I've discovered as a very helpful tool is going out for a walk, and no judgment about the time of the day when you can do it. Now, your biggest asset is your freedom. And if you take advantage of that, you can just go out at noon, at 3, at 4, at whatever time you need it. And it could be a moment also to discover or rediscover a way to figure out a problem. In my case, sometimes just listening to a podcast and giving myself some time to think about how to move forward in my fundamentals of my business has given me very, very fruitful ideas. So that's about movement. About isolation. People in the independent work could forget about having people to talk to honestly about how are they doing in this journey. And I think here it's very important to lean towards networks such as Landa or any other friends or people that are in the same journey, so you can have the real conversations about the struggles, about honest voices that can provide you with feedback on whether you're doing the right decisions in your business or not. And obviously, since the isolation could become part of your way of work, you need to be very intentional. You need to be very intentional about being out there and plan your week around having these events, gatherings, lunches, scheduling breakfast or lunch or whatever, a coffee with people that will sum up to your plans. And also in terms of the slow days, but I call them the slow days, where there's not a lot of creativity going on or a lot of productivity, I want you to remember one thing: slow days are not equal to failing. Slow days are just part of a transformation process. And if you reframe that mentally, it takes a whole lot of less pressure upon you, and it gives you a way to manage the emotional part in a super constructive way. And also, noticing these struggles can help you name them as an unlearning process, because I'm sure everyone that is listening with the eyes closed can do things very perfectly with a very high level of excellence in their area of expertise. But this is about relearning how to approach a business and how to do things from scratch, and knowing that this is happening is super helpful, or at least it has been very helpful for me. Also, I would also say that the danger of always being on is always present when you work from home. If you are not in a co-working space, or if you're starting from home, or you have a space where you can forget that you're still working 24/7, you need to know and learn how to stop on your routines, so you can really make a balance out of your day-to-day. So another topic that I consider super relevant, and it might seem obvious to a lot of you, but it is not when you start figuring out your finances. And I think financial stability is a key element to allow you focus on building the new you and building your new business. And what I mean by financial stability, in my case, it's the wrong way. How many months do you need to prepare to really, what is this minimum viable number that you need to have so you can prepare and be ready for waiting to tackle the first and second client? And if it's this 6 months, or it's 9 months, or it's 12 months, so you have the responsibility to have that runway built. And it is a game changer in terms of how are you gonna pursue your retainer relationships, because you are gonna need that so you can price and you can negotiate your first retainers in a good way. So what you shouldn't be thinking is, if you're not prepared for this, you cannot be discounting out of fear. And what I mean by that is, you cannot negotiate your first retainer out of the fear of not having a customer. And that is very important, because you're undervaluing your expertise, and you need to first understand it and not undersell it. And also, you need to understand that there will be times that you will need to say no to certain clients. And it is a very, very tough question, but you know when there's a project that wouldn't be ideally the type of customer that you're looking for, but if you're struggling, you might say yes, and it could consume most of your day, and muster your focus to really build what your work was meant to be doing. And also, don't confuse being busy. Like if you have a client that is not paying you enough and it's just giving you hours, but well, being busy is not the same as being profitable, no? And you need to talk to yourself really honestly about it. So also, and I don't know if you resonate with this, but when you start seeing the time passing by every week, every month, and you start saying like, oh, I hope I can get another client soon, because this is like my savings are running low, and the expenses are happening anyway. So I think it is very important not to take major financial decisions in the first 90 days that you're starting up, because it's not a good idea. You need to be calm. You don't need to make the anxiety run the show. You need to understand that this is Rome was not built in one day, and that you need to understand that the emotional charge around money is real, and everyone needs to have that figured out and name it. And if you let it run the show, it's gonna be disturbing the creativity and the productivity that you need very much right now. Another example I want to share in that regard is you can also be in a very I would say in a very complicated place where people will start to reach out to you to offer you jobs, no, and your corporate jobs. I mean, in my case, there was this firm from Europe that reached out and that invited me to a process, and you start hesitating, right? Because there is an appeal about, oh, I'm still in the market. Somebody is interested in hiring me. And what if instead of go solo, I take this opportunity and the problem's fixed? But you need to be certain about the decision you made, so you can see these opportunities pass, but don't regret them. And that is a very, very important part of it. At the end of the day, if you decide to go again in the corporate world in the next 3 years or 4 or whatever, it's okay. Like, nobody is going to judge you for that. It's like, if you think independent work is not for you, it's going to be okay. But I think at the least, if you took this decision, you need to give yourself some time to materialize the dream. And it can be tempting, and you can see those opportunities coming and people inviting you to new roles, but always remember the reasons why you chose this path. Also, in terms of what you need to have in place before building the brand, I would say you need to start defining your expert identity. And let me be clear about this. Expert identity is not your CV. Expert identity is not the things that you have done. It's more about the valuable perspective you can bring to a table that you've developed through all these years, and that the people in your field probably don't have, and it could be your differentiator, right? And it is like, what do I know that most people in my field don't, and why does that matter to my customers? So if you take your time to build this expert identity, you're going to start sounding like this authority voice in that area of expertise, that this is what you're trusted for. And that's how your name is becoming your brand. And you need to build that, and you need to know what do you want your name to mean to your customers, to the market, so you can really be an authority in that field. And how do you build that? Because it is complex, but at least 3 ways: the clarity, the consistency, and the credibility signals. What I mean by clarity is, what is the specific problem you solve, for whom, and why you are the right person to solve it. And if you are able to translate that into your brand and your expertise, you're on the right track. Second, consistency. You need to show up with the same point of view. And as you were saying, Gabriela, it's about having a clarity on, this is my refined value proposition, and this is what I'm going to stand for from now on, right? And it's what, across conversations, across content, across proposals, what I am offering is what I stand for, and I am going to give consistency to what I'm doing, right? And third, the credibility signal. How do you signal the market? What are the specific stories, results, or experiences that are going to back up, that are going to make your expertise tangible and believable to someone that is wants to trust you, but it's gonna not gonna look up your CV, but it's gonna hear what you have to say, no? And at the end is, in my case, how did I came up with something differentiated from in a world of public policy, crisis management, government relations? I took my experience across borders as one of the differentiators, no? Like binational companies that want to do business in Texas and in Mexico, or vice versa, Mexican or Latin American companies that wanted to get into the Texan market, and how the networking assets across borders can be a differentiator from people that it's only in one side of the border. And obviously, it can be refined through time, but having those clear first ideas are super helpful. Let's go to some other ideas. Sometimes there's a lot of pressure about starting to invoice, right? Like to starting to charge a client and to start to do business, no? And that's what we're here for. But let me challenge you on this thought. I have found out that when you start building trust through giving time, and listen to this, it's not about giving away free time forever. No, it's just being intentional about that you want to build trust through perhaps one phone conversation, one short consultation, sharing my thinking publicly, making some introductions generously with no agenda, giving a first conversation freely. That can be a game changer. You, for now, never know where the potential first customers are going to come from, besides your intentional client funnel, obviously. But I would invite you to think and give before you ask. Like in a very transactional world, there's always like, what's in it for me, right? And if you're going to be in there and if you're going to reach out and say, hey, I'm new, and I have my consulting firm, people is always trying to figure out a best way to improve their businesses. But if they found in you a helping hand, a sounding board, that could be the door to open a long-time relationship. And I've done it, and I think it's fruitful, and I think it can give away some reputation about who you are and how are you building your business from an honest place. And about relationships, I don't know if that happens to you, and I would love to hear some comments. But at the end, when you are out of your corporate job, there's people that is going to be rooting for you, people that is going to be super happy that you make the leap and that you are experiencing a new stage in your life, and that they believe you, right? And that's a treasure. Those relationships are great because that those people are gonna keep you going. But there's also another bucket of people who will be kind to you, but they are focused on their own lives and their own businesses, and it's okay. They won't do anything unless you ask, okay? And if you need to ask those people, be direct and be specific about what you want from them. And that is not being cold. It's just that most people operate minding their own business, and it's okay. And the third are those who will stop answering the phone because you don't have the position or the title or whatever. But it's okay. It stinks, but it is also information. It is information about how is your network, and what do you need to take care of in terms of relationships. So all of the above is okay. I think everyone is minding their own business. That's life. That's not personal. That's perfect. But the work is to reframe these relationships objectively in this moment in time where you need to be clear what you need to build. And if in my case, you also have a lot of great surprises. And what I mean by great surprises is people who show up for you and you didn't even think about them as a potential synergy or a potential customer or a potential referral. And this happened to me. It was the owner of a hedge fund told me like he was going to start inviting me to his networking meetings, and he was going to introduce me to his clients, and he didn't have to do it, and I was like, that's great. I think there's people that you will meet that will open doors for you, and you need to be aware of those relationships as well, either new or old. And yes, that's also about the understanding of these great surprises. And I would like to close in a tone about the market, or at least this is my understanding. The market rewards authenticity. And in terms of authenticity, I mean, is most consultants will perform a version of confidence that they don't really feel sometimes, but the ones that are building from an honest place, when you are integrating who you are with what you do, that's not about only productivity. That's about how you are presenting yourself to the world, and it means to build a practice or a business that reflects your real values and not your performance only. And I would say don't resist. I would say resist the urge to project confidence, or just like try to be something who you are not. Because at the end, the honesty of what you're building is more compelling, and that will bring results. I'm sure about it. And this is as well some of the learnings about how I was able to have a first project with my former employer. And I think that honest and human, it's a very good mixture. And it can help you reflect a very differentiated proposal in your conversations, in your content. And whenever you are doubting in terms of your transformation phase and how much time it will take, I will say transformation doesn't happen overnight. give it its own time, and ask yourself every day about the fundamentals of why you decided what you're building, and be honest about it. If it really is not what you thought about it, you need to make changes, but don't doubt about the good decisions why you made this change. And also, I would say, enjoy the freedom, learn to enjoy the new routines as well, without guilt, because as a mother, I carry guilt for a lot of reasons. But when you have a free time, it's not a problem to justify. It's not about to have FOMO of every other thing that you could be doing at the same time. It's about taking out the anxiety of being doing something else and focus on being with your loved ones, or choose to be at the right place for the right reason. And at the end is my that would be my takeaway. It's just, there's a learning in this process that has helped me hold on to it. Is, at the end, there's a world out there, and there's a lot of opportunities, a lot of industries. I am learning so much, many things in terms of business, in terms of human relationships, about myself. I'm really learning how to handle my own emotions regarding my rapport to my work. And I think that is a growth process that is priceless, and whatever the outcome is gonna be great. So I stop here, Beatriz, and I don't know if somebody wants to jump in and comment, or what is somebody thinking, or if they have questions for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Teresa. Does anyone have questions, or you like to share how has your journey been? Do you have any challenges to share with the group? JC.
Hi. Thank you, Teresa, for all these insights and sharing all these sentiments, challenges, and the journey across these times. Quite valuable for us. Thank you very much. I don't want to be on the negative side, but there's always some, I don't want to call it mistake, but learnings. In your experience, what will be the top 3 or 5 issues or things to avoid during this journey to transform into an independent consultant?
Yeah, well, definitely the things to avoid, as I mentioned through the conversation, is not to fall in the trap of pursuing another corporate role. First of all, right? It could be tempting, really tempting. Secondly, it is not going to happen that they are gonna look for you and your expertise. You need to make yourself visible. And one mistake that I made at the beginning was like, oh no, they're gonna reach out. They know me, right? And that's
Right.
gonna be easy. Well, it's not. You need to intentionally be structured about reaching out, about finding your networks, about doing the Excel sheet with your client funnel, and this is your compass, right? So that would be like the second mistake you could be making, about thinking, no, this is more than enough, right? Like, they know me.
Mm-hmm.
And third, I would say, I read in a book a very good exercise that was, just type your area of expertise in Google and the city you live in. And if you're not showing up in the first page or second, you're gonna need to make some effort to make yourself more visible for the right reasons. Even though your type of work is more word of mouth or whatever, but that gives you a sense of how much work you need to put on just to start pushing yourself out there. So I would just focus on that, and definitely not get too comfortable and confident with your financial stability while you tackle your first client. It's just be very conscious about your spending, and try that not to be the main obstacle for your creativity and productivity in the first year.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, JC. Paula.
Hi, Teresa. Thank you so much for your talk. I really enjoyed it and definitely share a lot of the insights you share with us today. Relating the part of like business hunting and building your funnel, I have built my funnel on an Excel sheet with like the clients I have tackled so far this year, and it was looking very good until like last month. And this month is more like quiet. I start like a new project tomorrow, but I have like two of my retainers that are going to finish soon, like at the end of July or August. I am intending for renewals, but like I was so busy like executing that I sort of like slow down the commercial activity. So thankfully, yesterday, like a new opportunity appeared, but I was like, okay, I have been like a bit lazy because I think I was tired on hunting. Did you have like when you started like any methodology, any like, I don't know, goal you place yourself for like, I don't know, opening new businesses every week? How was that on your experience?
Yes, and a full disclaimer, I'm in the learning phase as well. But I what works for me is I set a goal weekly to reach out to potential clients or projects that could materialize, even though they do not in the short term, but that gives you some certain continuity on the talks that need to happen before you tackle another client. No, that's one thing. And secondly,
what was your weekly goal? I didn't get it, I think.
Reach out to one client on the top tier, like the tier one, the ones that really can materialize, right?
Okay.
In not the ones that can become a client in the near future, or the ones that are acquaintances that can help you find another people in another industry. Like, no, the ones that really can like
buy your service. Okay.
A project, right? Another way I am finding useful is, in my expertise, the synergies with firms are very helpful. What I mean by that is law firms are a natural funnel for me, because when the legal advice cannot reach the crisis management arena, they call you. Like, being an off counsel of a law firm is very helpful for me. So what I'm doing as well is making alliances with law firms. In my case, in my area of expertise, I would encourage you to see what practices are natural to the type of work you do, that you can make a synergy or a referral or an agreement where they can also be a source of clients that already need you, but they don't know they need you in a way, no? And that can give you an increase, at least the percentage of opportunities that arise.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. All right. Somebody else that want to share?
Awesome. So, such an amazing conversation, Teresa. Thank you so much for sharing with us your journey, your learnings, your insights, the strategies that you've been applying. And thank you to everyone who has come to join this session. And yeah, let's keep connected. I'll share LinkedIn links. Amazing. Yeah, if you can, share your LinkedIn links here before we leave the session on the chat.
Sure. Amazing. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Teresa. Very interesting.
You're very welcome. It was a pleasure
Thank you,
speaking with
Teresa.
you.
Thank you, Beatriz.
Thank you, Beatriz.
Thank you.
Thank
I'm
you.
just putting my LinkedIn.
I just share
Thanks,
yours.
Teresa
Teresa.
and Beatriz.
Perfect. Thank you.
Have a great day. Bye.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.